Hello, hello. Welcome back to the stream. It's been a hot minute. Um, Hello to Heather Bryant and Wildflower and Joseph. Give a minute for everybody to kind of filter in that might be stopping by. It's been a while, so, there might not be a whole lot of people today, but we'll see. I am working on my March calendar page. So again, I'm using the Lightwish calendar. I have everything linked in the description below. And it says, painting is a blind man's profession. He paints not what he sees, but what he feels, what he tells himself about what he has seen. And that was Pablo Picasso. Hi, Karen. And hi, Ian, Betsy. And then the other quote is, the purpose of art is washing the dust of daily life off our soul. I loved that one. Again, that was Pablo Picasso. What I'm going to do to start off is I'm going to just tape. I have one of the Dollar Tree chalkboards. It's just like an MDF or something like that. And hi, George. And I'm just going to tape that down. I wanted to do something. If you saw the thumbnail, I wanted to do something that was, I wanted to get more spontaneous, kind of intuitive painting, but I thought, well, it'd probably be better, being the first stream back, if we at least go into this having somewhat of a plan. So I decided to take what I was thinking, and of course I plugged it into Magic on Canva, and let the AI spit back some things to kind of give me inspiration, a jumping off point. And I took a couple images that I got. I wanted some snowdrops, the snowdrop flowers, because I figured March, for here, we're still winter, right? What is it, tomorrow, the first official day of spring? Right now it feels like that. It's like 46 degrees here, which is really warm for us. But I thought, okay, March, there's still some snow on the ground. So I wanted some snow-capped mountains in the distance with some, like a spring landscape with still having some snow on the ground. And then I knew I wanted some snowdrops in the foreground. And so the snowdrops were an image that I overlaid on top of this because I wanted some snowdrops in it. And basically this is just inspiration. You're going to see me just kind of go with the flow. Very much, like I said, I was interested in intuitive, kind of more of an intuitive painting. And I don't know, we're going to see what we get. I don't think my mountains are going to look quite like that. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the pinks in it. Now, you absolutely could. If you see this image and you're like, I just want to paint that, go for it. Like I said, it was an image that I created on Canva. Some of that was utilizing the AI to come up with some ideas. And I have no problems utilizing AI to come up with ideas. We've done that a few times. And I like to use those kind of as a jumping off point. All right. So we're all taped down. Today I'm using my core. I have my portable painter here. I just took the ends off. I don't need those while I'm painting at home. But these are some core watercolors. So I will make sure that I'm telling you, as always, what colors I'm grabbing so that you can use whatever, whatever colors you have. I also have my little travel Daniel Smith palette here. This was the one I made out of my old Schminke box that my Haze set came in from the super granulating sets. And I have neutral tint. There isn't a neutral tint in my core palette. Excuse me, I have ivory black instead. But I really want neutral tint. So where have I been? Well, those of you who follow the community tab and are patrons or channel members and are on Discord, you know that excuse me, about a month ago, I ended up with the flu. Influenza A. So much fun. Not at all. And of course, anytime I get sick, COVID left my lungs damaged. And ever since then, even if I get a minor cold, it's really bad. They had to put me on steroids again and all that stuff just to get my lungs back to trying to breathe right. So you might hear, if it sounds like I'm out of breath a little bit, it's just because it's first day back. And this is probably going to be the most talking I've done in about a month. So still recovering, but I couldn't go any longer. I was really excited to get back to this. All right, so let's talk about this. I left the image up here for you guys to see, and let me see if I can put a little bit more light into that. I don't know if that's going to make it, kind of making it worse. Nope, still worse. I just want you to be able to see my pencil mark, so I'm going to shut this light off in a minute. I just want you to be able to see the what I'm sketching in. Okay, so here's our landscape space. I'm going to want some mountains. So basically, I'm just going to kind of outline like the tops of where I want my mountains. And I'm going to do that in about this area here. And then down here in our foreground, I want to have the snowdrop flowers. So what I'm going to do is I have some masking fluid. Now you can mask these or you don't have to. You could just come back with some like bleed proof white or some white gouache and paint the actual flowers white on top afterwards. So that's fine. In fact, you know what? We won't have to wait for the masking to dry. Why don't we just do that? We'll use the bleed proof white. See, you never know what's going to happen. We'll change our minds and it's okay. It's our prerogative. Okay. So Ian Jackson says to me, March is Mad Hares. That would have been cute too. All right. We're going to start with, I just want to know basically like where I want my snowdrops to be. And those are really simple. We're just going to do like, they are shaped downward, right? I'm going to paint right over this, but there's a little flower head. We're going to have a couple. This might just help me like when I'm painting in the grasses in the foreground. And of course, you know, I like to have the odd numbers. So we're going to put another one up here. Right? So that's where my flowers are going to lay in. I'm not worried about any of the stems. Of course you could. You know, if you want a guide for yourself, just kind of put some stems in there. Right? Just like that. Okay? So, hello to Alliance, Ohio. Thanks for joining us, Robert. Okay, now, back here, we're going to put in where our mountains would be, right? So I'm just going to, let's just let our pencil here go kind of random. And these are big, much bigger than, when I see mountains like this, I think of like the Rocky Mountains. I'm kind of looking at that image and just using it as like a jumping off point. And it is okay if yours look different. You're just putting in some mountains. That's giving me like the idea. Now I can also tell myself like, hey, this is going to come down like that. Maybe, right? What I'm doing is I'm working on like where the shadows are going to be, just to kind of give myself a little frame of reference for when I start painting. Okay, we have some mountain shapes. Again, it is okay if yours aren't exactly the same. We're just using this as a guide. Let me grab my kneaded eraser. It's been a while. It might take a second for it to get out of here. There we go. And I'm just going to lighten up a few of these lines. And also, I think I painted down a little further than I actually wanted to go. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to erase a little bit. There we go. There we go. As I don't want it to break like exactly at half. I want to kind of keep this. Actually, I could do, like, if I look at that reference photo, my mountain areas are like in the upper 2/3 of that space. So why don't we go ahead and just kind of give ourselves a guideline? This is going to help us do our sky. Here we go. Right, so I'm going to come up right where I put this flower, right about that. It's okay if that breaks that plane. I don't want to put it right where that ends, so I'm going to put it just below. I put that stem up there. I'm going to put it just below that. So I'm kind of putting a masking for like that bottom inch. Okay, it's just going to help me get a nice even line between up here and then where my foreground is going to come at me. Okay. Now, shut that light off. There we go. See how the pencil lines kind of disappeared? I wanted you to be able to see where those were. Hi, Dolphin Soul. I have missed this as well. Okay. I am using a Meeden ceramic palette. Again, if you get any of these from Meeden, code Clark10 is going to give you a discount on your purchase. So hope that helps. Every little bit helps. Let's see. I have my 3/4 wash. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to grab. I'm wanting a quill brush just for getting the back wet and dropping in some. I'm going to grab my Princeton Neptune quill. Yeah, that's not that one. Oh, I think are my Neptunes. I'm knocking everything down. There we go. There. So that is a size 6 Princeton Neptune quill. It's synthetic squirrel. It's very soft. It's very fluffy. It's going to wet my background really quickly. We are going to do some wet into wet painting. Hopefully I have enough water in my spray bottles. I'm just going to get my palette, wake it up. So we'll wake up our watercolors here. And I'm using core, so they're going to take off and want to run, and that's fine. Let's start by wetting our paper. I'm really going to focus on wetting my sky. I see where the mountains are. I just went over those peaks, but it's fine. I'm not gonna fret over it. Just grab a tissue. Just touching where I just went over those mountains because No, I was in a hurry. I'm just excited to paint. Oh, my sky is going to be nice and wet. This quill brush holds so much water, so lets me kind of get the area wet quickly. I've found with these Lightwish calendars, you'll have to let me know if you have it, what you think. But I found that when you're working on it really wet and wet, the paper has some limitations as far as, like, I wouldn't want to keep overworking the paper. It seemed like it pilled a little bit on me before. All right. Let's see. For our sky, I'm going to go with some ultramarine blue. There's still plenty of water on my brush, so that's a bit diluted. And we're just going to start by laying in some ultramarine blue. I'm going to lay it in here along the edge of my mountain. And again, I'm using core, so you see it's spreading, which is fine. I just want to get this outline in here. See how it's like little bit of veiny through there as it's coming up. If you have any areas like that and you don't like it, all you have to do is just come back. I'm going to switch brushes now. I've got my size 10 round. This is my Velvet Touch. All right, so it's just damp. It's not adding a lot of water to my paper. And I'm leaving some of these areas that are white. They're going to be my clouds. Just kind of soften that up. Now let's take, I'm going to take some cerulean blue chromium, which is PP36. And some more ultramarine blue. I'm just going to mix those together. They'll kind of neutralize each other out a little bit. One's a warmer blue, one's a cooler blue. And I'm going to drop some more in. I'm going to drop this in here where it's still nice and wet. I'm going to drop some in these areas at the top of where my clouds are. I know this is going to dry lighter. Don't overthink your clouds. I used to stress so much about my clouds, thinking they didn't look normal. Cloud-like? I don't know. I used to stress so much over just a little mist. Paper was feeling like it was drying quickly. Just to keep my edges soft. I don't really want any hard edges in my sky. I think our clouds are a little overdoing it. Wildflower, I am using Core watercolors, and I have my Daniel Smith neutral tint. So if you hear me say I'm using neutral tint, that's going to be by Daniel Smith. I really like that cloud right there. Again, just misting, just to keep the water, the page wet and the colors flowing. I want to make sure that that touch at the top. Not really caring for this one. Let's just kind of tap some more stuff in here. What I'm doing is I am looking at my monitor. I've said this many times before. When you're painting and you're staring at the page, if you get, if you're unsure, you can turn on the camera on your phone and look at it, look at your painting on your phone. You're going to see it in a whole different way. And sometimes that really helps when you're trying to decide, like, where do you need more contrast or where do you need more color? I think the sky needs a little bit more, some more dark. I don't know. It's there's a lot of like purple color in the example or our inspiration piece, but again, that's not really what I'm going for. I feel like it's so easy to fuss. And keep fussing. I'm just going to leave this for now. We can always come back and glaze more in if I feel like it needs to be darkened up later. Okay. All right. So for our mountains, I'm really thinking I'm going to take some neutral tint. I love Daniel Smith's neutral tint because it's very cool. You can definitely see the blue undertones in it. And I'm just mixing it in with whatever blue was still left behind there. Okay. I'm going to grab some more water. And this is really much more diluted version of that color now. All right. Let's lay in some mountains. I'm going to start with, I'm just going to start putting in like some shadow. Right, here's my shadow side. This is going to get darker. This is just me setting it up. Because if I don't like it, it's very easy to lighten this at this point. See, I had that line right there, but I think I want to kind of shift that a little. Again, your mountains don't have to look exactly like mine. This is just that background, right? This is going to fade into, it's not our focal point. Going to just fade off into the distance. I think I want to make this a little bit more blue. Now that I'm seeing it, I want to bring in some of the blue from that sky. So I'm going to take a little bit of that ultramarine, PB29, a little bit of the cerulean blue chromium, which is PB36. There we go. With that little bit of neutral tint that was still left, let's add some water to a little bit of that and get it nice and thin down. And I'm just going to kind of go back over this area. But I'm going to go over it and I'm going to leave some of this. So it's going to look kind of like it's snow in the shadow. Going right to the edge. There we go. Or a drop of water on my ferrule. I didn't want to lose that. As my brush is running out of paint, the value is getting lighter, so I can come back through and just kind of pop some shadows in there. Look at that. I love it. Okay, it's kind of separating on the palette here. You can see the neutral tint and the ultramarine. Look at the granulation from the ultramarine and a little bit of that cerulean blue chromium, that PB36. All right, so same here. See, that is just looking like snow in the shadow. So we're going to do the same over here. Just kind of defining that line, the ridge. Thanks, George. Wow. Stuff was not working. I was trying to highlight that comment and stuff was just not working. So I'm thinking like my mountain is slow, right? It's not going straight up and down. Like we can feel the slope of that mountain by the way that our brush strokes go. So we're going to put in some more. I think this one, I really want that contrast. I'm going to come right up to the line of my mountain that is in front of it. We're going to push this mountain further back. So I have my brush tipped really at like probably at about a 30-degree angle. I am still working with the point, but I'm working in this area where it starts to come into the belly. Just kind of let it skip around, do its thing. I have certainly missed painting. It was so horrible. It was like if I moved, I would cough. If I got up and walked across the room, I would cough. I would go into this coughing attack that was just, oh, it was terrible. Would not wish that on anyone. Again, we're going to push this one back a little bit further. Thank you. I just thought it's still kind of winter, but it's kind of spring, and depends on where you live. Um, and I left, oh, you can kind of see that, Mom, but I think when I peel this tape, that's not going to look right. So let's just take it right off the page. All right, let's just take this mountain right off the page. I'm going to go right into that edge, and that'll be fine. That'll be fine. Okay. So these are a little darker, aren't they? I'm just going to dab a little bit of that up. There we go. All right. Let's darken this one up some more. So I'm just going to come back with another layer. And you see, I'm even leaving some of that space. So now I'm getting 3 different values here. There we go. Do that again, just to put a little bit more. Grab a touch of that. I need to bring in some more water. This is definitely going to be a darker value than here. Don't want too much paint in my brush. Okay, I'm going to erase. I have the pencil line that's there. I'm just going to lift that out. Just a reminder for patrons and channel members, if you are in the creator tier or studio member, tomorrow we are doing our Zoom, and that is one of the quarterly Zooms. So creator members, you will have access to that as well. That is tomorrow morning. No, excuse me. It's tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern time. That was definitely a bit darker, but you know what? I think I like it. I like the contrast it's adding. I'm just going to go with it. Put a little bit more in. So I also have a 7-day free trial on Patreon for both the creator tier and the studio tier. So if you're not sure and you're thinking you would like to see what it's like before making that commitment, you can certainly give trial membership a go and see if that's for you and join us. So again, that's tomorrow for creators, if tomorrow being March 21st, 2024. Ooh, see, look at how much that just, wow. Amp up the contrast. So yeah, if you'd like to check it out and see if it's something that would be a good fit for you, and see what the Zooms are all about, I welcome you. I invite you to join us. It's always lots of fun. Again, I'm just doing another layer because I like the darker values I have here, and I'm just going to bring some of that into this side. And we're going to use this little bit that's left here of this little color to do some shadows on our highlighted side. So do it to the rest of them as well. Okay, more water. Still plenty of paint on here to get a nice light value. So this is a very dilute wash. And we're just going to put a few marks. I have a piece of tissue here, so if put anything down, I can just quickly dab some of that up, and if I put it down, I feel like it's too dark. Rinse my brush, and I'm just going to kind of soften some of these edges. There we go. So still very much highlighted side of my mountain, but now we have some more values. And let's do the same over here. If there's anything you don't like, just go over it, right, with a brush and dab it up. There we go. We're just going to soften that down. Yeah, tomorrow is the spring equinox. I think day and light and dark are pretty much even, and then the light starts to take over. We can always come back to those if we want to change anything, and clearly I marked my paper. I didn't see when I did it, but I did it. Just putting water. We're just going to rinse it off and just lighten it up a little bit. I don't know when I did that, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so now we got to think about what's going to come down here into our foreground. Maybe on the reference photo, you know, there's the kind of pink reddish of trees through here. I think we can put some trees in there, but I don't really think that, I'm thinking winter still. I don't think I'm going to have this reddish tree. I'm thinking it's going to be more like, if there were trees, they're going to be, I wonder. I'm splaying out my brush, so it's a little wonky. Yeah. Of course, my brush, this is a Velvet Touch. It just wants to go back because it's got great snap. So I'm just kind of pulling at the belly to separate those a bit. Just dabbing in. I want to feel like we've got this like line like of trees. The mountains are further off in the distance. Again, I'm just kind of pulling my brush apart a little bit, just so I can get some of these random brush strokes. All right, I've got a 4 round. This is a 4 long round. I really love the 4 long round. It's one of my favorite brushes, especially for detail. It lets you get really fine details. That point is so nice and sharp. I think we're going to bring in, this is a burnt sienna, but I really want an umber. I have umber on my Daniel Smith palette, so I'm going to grab the PBR 7. It's like a raw umber. I just want to start to warm this up a little bit as we start to come forward. So I've got kind of like neutral tint and raw umber. Get that a little bit more dilute. I think that would be too dark. Just pulling down some lines. We're going to go back over this and put some more, I guess would look like branches. It's not really, there's no foliage on the trees at this point. At least not here there isn't. The trees have not started budding out. So if these are trees in March, if this were Maine or anywhere near the Rocky Mountains, I would assume. I have not been there. I mean, I've seen them in the distance, but we're just literally pulling down some lines. They would be very much like grayed out. So again, I'm going to take this same color. I'm going to grab my size 10 round again. And once again, I'm going to like splay those bristles out just by pulling at the belly, just to separate them a bit. If you have a brush that you've kind of given a crazy haircut to, you could certainly use that. I'm just going to come back in. The paint, it was a little wet. This brush was a little wet. You don't really want it this wet because I'm just leaving dabs. Like, I wanted it to be a bit more like bare trees. You know, when you're looking at bare trees off in a distance, it kind of just looks grayish. It's fine. We're going to do the same over here. We'll just start by dabbing in. I want to do some more intuitive painting. If that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. I'm really, really interested in doing some intuitive painting. Just pulling down some tree trunks. Again, this is very far in the distance. This is not going to be our focal point. So we're not going to worry about too much of where this is at. I'm going to bring a little bit more blue into this. My ultramarine. Cool down the value there. Or that you get a much cooler hue. There we go. My brush, you see, my brush is like really splayed out. That's what I'm wanting. I want to add just other values. I'm going back over these too. It's kind of naturally putting its shape back together. I don't really want that. All right. Let's see. Feels a bit warm. I'm just going to glaze in some. Just ultramarine into that. I want to cool that down a bit more. The flu has been no joke this year. Just seeing in the chat, Tara also had the flu. Just bringing some more of the blue in here. Cool this area, cool this down just a little bit. Just dabbing it in. Oh, bubble. It's fine. Just going to pull down some more with the blue. Okay. Just with a damp brush, I'm just going to kind of come along the bottom. Just wet this part of my paper. I'm going to soften all of that area up. That blue that I was just pulling down is going to kind of feather into that space. All right, and that's fine. Okay. Now we're gonna have some grass and some snow. So let's kind of start working up here. This should be, excuse me, sap green. I love Core's sap green. Their sap green consists of PG36, PR101, and PY150. So if you don't have a sap green that you absolutely love, if you have those pigments, you can certainly mix one up for yourself. Again, it's PG36, PR101. I know there are a lot of versions of PR101, but I think if you had like a burnt sienna that was a PR101, or like a transparent red oxide that was a PR101, I think either of those would work well. And then PY150, which is your nickel azo yellow. All right, this is very wet. This might be a mistake. This might be like, wow, too much green. We're gonna find out. It's gonna be back further, so let's just, where we had some of this blue, just kind of mix that together right there. It's just gonna cool it down just a little bit. There we go. I'm bringing a little bit more water in to dilute it. I want this to be lighter. It's further in the distance. Bring some of this in. If I leave spots like this, that's fine. In fact, I like that idea because it looks like, you know, there's still snow on the ground over there. I'm just kind of, again, about a 30-degree angle, and I'm letting it kind of skip around because back there, I still have some snow showing up. It's not all melted yet. It's not all melted here yet. Is it? Do you still have snow wherever you are if you live in an area that gets snow? And this is a little bit more dilute, but it's starting to look a little warmer. And at this point, I'm just going to remove that tape because I don't necessarily need that to stay. I just was trying to keep myself like where I wanted my horizon and where I wanted to start getting more detailed. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about those trees back there. I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to have to wait and see. I'm going to take my size 10 round and I am going to wet this area. I want to work this wet and wet right now. So I'm going to just go wet all the way down. And that I don't need this size 4 right now. Grabbing my 10, coming back in here. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that sap green. So now I'm building up more into the green. Again, I'm not going to worry about leaving white spots. I want there to look like there's still some snow. Dealing Creative Arts says, definitely no snow. Spring has arrived. Yeah, not here, not quite yet. Okay, so we're just lightly putting some of this in, and now I'm going to come back and I'm going to grab some of this blue. So the blue I've already used in the painting elsewhere, so it's going to work. I want to do some shadow areas, right? There's still some snow, still some stuff in shadow. We're going to put some of that in. I do like the idea, of course, you guys know me, I do like the idea of having some trees over here kind of in the distance. So I think we're going to go ahead and put some of those in. We're going to get some more shadow. We're just going to put a little bit of blue here and there. I'm not going to worry about this too much. I'm going to paint over this area when we do the clump of our little snowdrops here. Not putting it everywhere, but definitely want to get a little bit of this blue in here. Just in places. Grab some of that green. Let's get some more. Let's drop some more green in. I'm just tapping the point of the just the point of my brush. I'm going to give that a mist just to keep that color flowing. Looking for areas that where I already have some green going. You see here, it's very veiny, very spidery. I'm not going to worry about that. If it stays, that's fine. It'll just look like grass that's starting to grow. I suspect it'll probably be another month before things go from a very yellow ochre looking to starting to look like this, as far as for us here. Grabbing a little bit more blue. So I can drop some more in back here. Again, I want to make sure that area has that mist is damp so that this can kind of spread around. trying to still preserve some of those white spots that I had. As always, after the stream, I usually scan in the calendar page and I'll change the thumbnail so that it reflects that. So if you weren't here watching live, you're probably like, what do you mean inspiration? You're painting exactly what we saw. But you can see up here, that was our inspiration piece. And we're not going completely off of this here. Of course, you could. If you like that better, you certainly could. Right? It's your painting. Maybe you really like the pinks and purples in it. I'm still undecided. Trying to, because I know I'm not going to have that in my flowers. So I don't want it to look weird and out of place. Already, this color is looking a little off to me. I need to bring in some of that umber into more of this so that it will be, this color will show up elsewhere. So I'm going to use my umber and my neutral tint again. And that is where I'm going to do like some shadow areas. When you see me pause, I'm kind of looking up at my monitor to see like where else might this look okay. Yeah, Wildflower says she likes the pinks and purples for spring. See, if I was going to do some flowers, if my flowers in the foreground had those colors, I think I would include that. And so this area here where I kind of just did trees, would kind of bring those colors in. But again, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see how this goes. Maybe we'll glaze some color over it. Not quite sure yet. I do think I want... I'm going to take my sap green and to that, I think we're going to add a little bit of, we'll do that after. We're going to add in some nickel azo yellow. I want to really make this more springy. I'm going to add some over the top of this as well. But first... I'm not going to push the placement of the trees like in this, the inspiration. They're so close to the edge. I don't like them like that. I want to kind of create like a focal point here. I'm going to put some birds in the sky, and I think I'm going to put them up in here. So I'm going to have birds in the sky. I'm going to have my snowdrops, and I want to have kind of like a little triangle. I want to move your eyes around the painting. So we're going to put our trees right here. And it lives right about there. You didn't think it would be my first day back and I wouldn't actually paint a tree. That one got a little carried away on me. That's okay. We'll just put the other one beside it over on this side. And it'll all work out. Clean brush. Tap that on my sponge. You guys can't see my sponge. I'm going to turn off that reference for now, or that inspiration. It's not really a reference. just inspiration. We're going to turn that off for now. So I have a sponge up here. That way there you can see when I reach for that. So wet water, just tap it on my sponge. And then I'm just going to kind of smooth this out so that the bottom of this tree can just kind of fade and anchor itself into the ground. All right, let's put another one. As Bob Ross would say, he needs a friend. Again, just using my sap green. Chris, Dolphin Soul says, there's no way there wouldn't be a tree. You knew it. It had to happen. We're going to put the other one right about here. My sap green was a little stronger that time. Just adding a few darker values to the one behind it. Rinse that brush out. I suppose it's not. I do love my trees. Okay. Now we have a couple trees there. I'm going to grab some nickel azo yellow. I love this yellow. PY150. It is like, hello. Look at me. It's gorgeous. And I'm mixing there. You know, there's a little bluish underneath that. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. My light's coming from this way. Right? If we look at our mountains, the light's coming from this way. So I'm going to put in a little bit of this yellow. Right? Just dropping that into my... Make this a little stronger. Yeah, put that down. It pushed everything else away. It can be a bully too. We're just going to drop some yellow PY150 on top of this onto this right side. Let's do the same thing with this one. I'm just kind of tapping. It might not make a huge difference, but it's there. It's going to glow. I'm going to put some of that down here. Look at that bright yellow. And I'm going to bring some more in because I want this to look like, right, like this is a little bit closer. So we're going to warm this space up a little bit more. Take some of that sap green and just mix it in with that. Give us a nice bright first blades of grass starting to pop through the snow. I'm going to mist my paper. Again, mine is, I need more water. There we go. I still want this to stay soft. That's going to have to dry a little bit before I can like really pull up any grasses, but just pulling up a few very tiny strokes. Very tiny. I don't want it to look like a lot. You guys can see that. Just some really tiny ones. This is a lot further away. If I really pulled those up, that would be like huge grass. Grass wouldn't be that tall yet. Right? It's spring. It's just barely springing. And trying to make sure I preserve some of that white that is my snow. Here and there, little patches. Bring in some more sap green. put that down and just kind of flick up a few little spots. Not very tall. Still a distance. Coming back over that, just knocking that yellow back just a little bit. Okay. We have our snow here, but I think I'm not worried about having too much grass starting to show in this because I want this sky to be the focus. So I'm not going to do too much detail over here as I want your eye to be here. And we'll kind of wander through and then we're going to put some birds at the end up here. Just grabbing a little bit more neutral tint and some ultramarine blue. Just going to like put some more shadowy areas in here. Just kind of letting my brush skip along the page. Remember, we're going to have some bleed-proof white, so if anything ends up a little too dark, not crazy about it, we can always bring it back. If you don't have bleed-proof white, you can use white gouache. Now I'm just taking a damp brush and I'm going to soften some of these edges. I don't want my snow to have hard edges. I want to bring some cooler values back here. And I'm going to wet this area again. Just so that whatever I do will stay soft. There we go. Lightening up a few spots. All right. That grass just seems so green to me. I don't know. Maybe transparent yellow oxide. So transparent yellow oxide by Core is not as opaque as yellow ochre. And I'm thinking that that's why it's not feeling right to me, is that there's too much, it's too green. If there's still snow, then it's almost like we should have some ochre color in there. Like the dead grass from the prior year is kind of still on the ground. So I'm just going to put some ochre in it and see what that feels like. I said ochre. It's transparent yellow oxide. And it's yellow, so it's going to warm it up a bit, but now let's take some more of that. I think this is raw umber. That's too cool for burnt umber. I think this one's raw umber. My Daniel Smith ones I don't have labeled. It's PBR 7. And I am almost 100% that that's raw umber. And again, we used it back here, so it'll be fine to bring that in. I'm just kind of pulling just some little tiny lines in a downward direction. Right? Like maybe get some of that prior year's grass just kind of poking through. Just adding texture. Right? This is where the snow is kind of melted. Maybe this is a little bit higher elevation. Just pulling a few in here. We're just going to give the viewer's eyes something else to look at as they make their way through the painting. All right. I'm going to come back with a little bit more of this transparent yellow oxide. My paint is drying so quickly. I'm going to do a little bit more of that. Tap in some spots. Just adding texture. All right. We're going to switch it up in a moment. And we're going to paint in our snowdrops because that's our focal point. And then after we have our main focal point in, then we can kind of come back, see what needs to be adjusted. And again, so that was my green. I'm just doing the same thing. Same thing I just did with that raw umber and that transparent yellow oxide. Just pulling a few, what it's going to look like, those first little sprigs of grass trying to poke up through. just here and there. Definitely put some up here. Okay. Let's paint our snowdrops. I'm going to grab some of that more sap green. I'm also going to use this here, green we've already been doing, which was our sap green. And that sap green already has PY150 in it, nickel azo yellow. We're just strengthening that PY150. We're just adding more. All right. I'm going to start with this one, my lighter version. And I'm going to just kind of pull up some leaves. Right, snowdrops, their leaves. Let me turn that image back on. So their leaves are really straight, kind of like what you would see with like a daffodil. So we are going to do some of those. I sketched in where I wanted my flowers, so I can kind of be careful, like not to go over. But again, I'm not worried about it. I can put my flower heads in with the bleed proof white. So we don't mind if this gets bigger, because we want this to look like it's way up here in our foreground. Pulling up some of these lighter values. All right, let's get some darker ones in there. Again, this is my size 4 long round. I'm going to leave some of that white showing through, because these are just popping up through the snow. Wildflower says, I would have needed to mask out the snowdrops. You absolutely can. I just know I have one here, one here, one here. Now let's take that little bit of our sap green, and here's our transparent yellow oxide that we've used elsewhere in the painting. Let's go ahead and mix up some green with some of that in it. And do a few of these. This big cluster. You'd think you probably would have more than just 3 flowers showing, but you know, who knows? If you want more than 3, it's your painting. Go for it. I'm going to let this kind of dry now, because they're starting, it's going to mix together, and I don't want it to do that. I'm going to give this a quick dry. And I'm going to mute you just in case. All right. I love that. I love that, Boo Peep. Okay. Let's put in where our snowdrops are going to be. I want a few darker blades of grass. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to take this sap green. I'm actually going to put some of that right here on my palette. I'm going to grab a little bit of neutral tint. I'm going to darken that up just a bit. Just putting in a few darker spots at the base. Some more shadow at the bottom. And let's get a couple. I'm just going to go over that one. I'm just picking a couple spots and I'm making them darker. All right. Now my tall flower is going to be right there. Then I'm going to have one right here. And I've lost where the other one was. I can't really see the pencil marks anymore. But I think we're going to do right here. And I know it was right about there. So we're going to put one there, and one here. Again, if you want 5 flowers, if you like even numbers and you want 4 flowers, it's entirely up to you. Okay. I need that to be dry again, because if I don't dry it, bleed proof white is only bleed proof if what's underneath it is dry. So if I don't dry this, that green can definitely bleed into the white parts of my flowers. So we're going to give this a quick dry. All right, so I have my bleed proof white. Make sure my brush is nice and clean before it goes in there. I'm going to take some out and I'm going to put it right here on my palette. Okay. And I'm going to start painting in the outside petal. I'm doing the outside petals first. This blade of grass kind of goes over front of that flower. I don't want it to. I want to push that blade back. So I'm just going to paint right over it. I think these are such easy flowers to paint. And then down here, I'm going to put one. And I'm making sure that I break that plane of where the other grass was, because there was already white in that background. So if I want the flower to show up, I'm going to need to break through where there are other things behind it. Now that's going to show up more. All right. Paint that one behind. There was a lot of water on my brush. I tapped my brush to get absorb some of that water out. I had tapped my brush to my water because my paint was drying. And you see I've kind of left that petal. You can see around the edges of that petal. Let me move that closer. We're going to put a drop of yellow, like this for the center of the flower. We're going to put a little drop of yellow in there. So doing the others exactly the same. And you don't have to put it on every, like the yellow, maybe you're not seeing into the flower, right? Because the petals, it sits like down like this. So maybe you're not seeing into this part. It could be like the petals are over top this way versus being like open this way. I hope that made sense. I love it. I almost think we need more flowers. We have 3. I'm thinking like maybe 5. Maybe we make more flowers. What do you guys think? If you're watching live, drop me a comment. You want 5 flowers or do you want just the 3 we have? This was more dilute so you could see through, and I'm just going to kind of brighten up the end there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, rinsing that out of my brush, I'm going to take a little bit of the same. We're going to use our nickel azo yellow. I'm going to put it right here. Wildflower says 5 flowers. I'm going to grab some of this bleed-proof white. I'm going to mix it with that nickel azo yellow. And this is going to give us more an opaque yellow, a yellow that we've already used elsewhere in our painting. There we go, dried my brush. You could also do this, if you were doing this with gouache, you could certainly just use like some yellow gouache. Just going to put a little dab there. It's not showing up too much. Some buds. Oh, that's a good idea. George says 5. Tara doesn't mind. Boo Peep says some buds. And Wildflower, of course, always wants more flowers. So, excellent. We're just making that a little bit more yellow. It wasn't showing up enough to my liking. Just with the tip of my brush, adding that in there. It's just not. Leaving it be. You can see it when you're looking up close. It definitely, let me bring that in for you. That yellow shows up in there. I'm gonna grab I've got some bismuth vanadate yellow, vanadate, whatever. It's PY184. I'm just gonna see if that will be a little bolder yellow. It is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so set some buds. More flowers. All right, we'll put a bud. Okay, so if we're doing a bud, it's going to be closed. It's going to be upright. It hasn't really opened yet. Well, it seems like it's upright. Our stem would still come this way. It would still hang down. We'll do one here. Maybe this one's behind. Let's just connect that. We'll use this one. So it looks like that is the bud. Oh, it was so good to have you join us, Dylan. Have a great rest of your day. How about another bud right here? Maybe another flower right here. There we go. And grab some more of my sap green. And this one I have just kind of coming straight up. Straight up and kind of turning towards us. So I'm actually seeing, it's like not fully open yet. I'm seeing a little bit of that green over. There we go. Adding a little bit more, very little bit of green that I have left on my brush. Just kind of anchoring the flowers to their stems. And here, I'm going to add a stem. I didn't put one on that one. All right, this is one of our buds. Kind of make it look like it's that one right there. There we go. Okay. I'm liking our flowers up front. Let's take some of this bleed-proof white. I'm going to water it down just a little bit. Of course, it was drying, so. But that is a little bit thinned down. And let's bring some highlights into some of these areas where there's supposed to be snow. I think we've lost a little bit of it. And remember, if it's bleed proof white that is if you've diluted it with water, of course it's going to not be as opaque. And I'm fine with that. Because some of this, like these shadows, are going to, when it dries, it's going to show through. I'm going to need a little bit more cleaning out my brush. Okay, so now we're going to kind of do some finishing touches here. A little bit more bleed proof white. I'm going to come right up to the edge of where I painted that plant. And just soften that edge. So all I did was rinse my brush, tapped it on my sponge, and I can soften that edge right out. Thank you. I'm not quite satisfied with it yet. We'll see. It's getting there. Remember, I want it to certainly feel like, I want it to feel like that grass is breaking through the snow. I'm going to break some of that up. Just doing a little negative painting there. Just dipped my just the tip of my brush in the water. Right, so here, maybe this is like where that snow is getting thinner. We're starting to see that ground poking through. Now, I'm not going to cover up all of my areas where I did some shadow. Just wasn't quite thrilled with the way some of this was looking. So bringing some more snow back in. Again, it's only bleed proof if the underlayer is dry and it's not diluted. Once it's diluted, you're going to see some of that come through. That's what I want. So that's why you see me reach up. I kind of grab some more water. And I'm liking that a lot better. Let's bring some over here. I don't want this to be too bright white because I want your focus. I don't want to pull your focus from the flowers. So I'll back that off just a little bit. Just clean, damp brush. And there we go. That's better. I'm just there was a straight line and I'm just breaking that plane. Clean damp brush softens any edges up. All right. So let's bring over here. I had some of that blue. This is going to be much further in the distance. I'm going to bring some of that in here. So now this is going to be much more opaque, but also more blue. So if I want to put snow back here on the ground, it's not going to be stark white like my foreground. I'll push that back a little bit by it being more blue. I think I'm going to break up some of this line. That feels better. And let's lose a little bit of this right here. If I need to, I can bring my blades of my plant back over it. And my stem right there, that'd be fine. I just want to kind of push this back a little bit further. There we go. I'm liking that better. It just was feeling too much green. Not quite enough snow. Like when these are happening, snow can still be on the ground, and it is. I'm liking that better. I don't mind my little piece of high ground here with my trees. Not having as much snow on them, and we'll just put a little bit here and there. Wouldn't really be snow on our actual tree. Not at this point. Not unless we were getting like some fresh snow. I think we're supposed to have snow again like this weekend. Of course, we've had snow right into May. That's not uncommon. All right. I think I'm just going to kind of call that part done. I want to bring, see if I can't get a little bit darker value, just mixing up whatever that blue and that umber. I don't know that I actually need to mess with that back there. Again, it's further in the background. Okay, there was green from grabbing my neutral tint when I had green on my brush. That's fine. I don't want that too dark. I'm just bringing in some more trees, but I'm going to tap them so to lighten it up. There's like a forest back there. You got to go through the woods to get to the mountains. Bust out into this field. Probably all kinds of creatures live out there. Ian's mad hare. He might live in that field. There we go. Kind of liking that better. A little bit more of the lines. Okay. I just feel like we don't have quite enough shadow. Yeah, that's better. Add another value on here. And if anything is like too harsh and you don't like, just soften it up a little bit of a damp brush. It definitely makes me think of the Rocky Mountains. I feel like the Appalachian Mountains, the mountains range on the east coast of the U.S. Certainly not quite, I don't know, as jagged. Definitely not as tall. Definitely not as tall. Really kind of bringing in some dry brushing now. There's very little water in my brush, and just trying to add some texture. My brush kind of laying almost flat, so I can just kind of skim the belly of the brush along the surface of my paper and pick up some of that texture. So you can really see the texture of the paper in those strokes right there. Okay. Trying to think what else. Oh, we need birds. We need our birds. I'm going to take my little pencil And again, I wanted to kind of make like a little triangle. So I think I'll put my birds up right about here. And maybe I've got one. I like to kind of sketch them in with pencil first because you can certainly erase them if you need to. How about we have one that's dry enough. One that's flying there. And of course, I have two. I'm going to want three. There's one in the distance here. There we go. All right, let's paint those in. I'm just going to take my ultramarine blue and that umber again because those colors are already in my painting. I could certainly just paint it in with neutral tint. See, they make a really nice neutral. I love having birds in your landscape. It's just bringing more life into the picture. So our eye definitely has some places to travel. I'm not really crazy about this through this mid part, but you know, for now, I think I'm just going to call it done. I think it needs to kind of take a step back, wait, have some fresh eyes, look at it again. I am going to add some yellow right there. If I change anything, I will definitely post it into the finished paintings on Discord if I change or update anything. I'm trying to mix up just a really bright yellow. See if we can't get there we go. I don't know how I feel about that. It's fine. That's fine. And while I have some of this on my brush, I'll just bring a little bit more in over here. Maybe a few more brush strokes over here. I'm feeling I could use more darks. Perhaps some more in our mountains or something, on like the shadow side of our mountains. I don't know. It definitely has that March feel to me where it's not, let's go ahead and peel our tape. Our colors aren't super vibrant yet. Life is just starting to spring back. Ooh, look at that. I love when you get the clean edge. Doesn't that make all the difference? Okay, so we have, for all of you, again, there's a free trial going on for the creator tiers and the studio tier on Patreon. And tomorrow we will be live on Zoom. Let me just kind of give you a sneak peek at what kind of things I'm going to be doing. I received from some of my art friends while I was under the weather. This little thing, I'm so excited about this. This came in from Heather. Thank you so much, Heather. This is the brand new Daniel Smith colors, and this is the Steve Mitchell My Mary Blue set. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about all of these. But this here, if you are excited to see what these all look like, I'm going to be doing a first look at these. I'm going to be swatching all of these out tomorrow while I'm on Zoom. So you're going to be able to see that. So not only the new colors from Daniel Smith and Steve Mitchell's set that he did with My Mary Blue, my friend Shanna over at Caution Artists at Play sent me these two cute little palettes. I love this. She sent me a palette before that was this size that had some M. Graham paints to try that were colors I didn't have yet. I love it. I take it with me every time we go out painting. So Heather says, you are welcome. I can't wait, Heather. I'm so excited about those. But this here, these are the brand new granulating line of colors from Holbein. So there's 4 sets in here. It's 24 colors total. And it has the, let's see, tin 1. This one, tin 1, has the bird set of 6, which is these right here, the top 4, and then these 2. And then it has the flower set of 6, which are these here. And then on tin number 2, this, which I'm super excited, this is the landscape set. So these here, and that is followed by the moon set. I can't wait to see what these look like. I am going to be swatching all of them tomorrow during Zoom. Again, if you want to join us, there is a free trial going on right now, and you can come see what it's like. Everybody kind of does their own thing. Sometimes we work on projects together, but I can't wait to show everybody what those look like. And then this here, Lindsay made me this little palette, the Frugal Crafter, and this is the Da Vinci Gouache. So she had a basic set, like a mixing set for Da Vinci Gouache that she had put together. You see it's dried and it's like popped out of my palette, but it re-wets. She says it re-wets beautifully. So I have those colors. I'll be sharing with you what they are. I have to look it up again, because this, I got this, and then 2 days later is when I had our last studio hangout, and I was getting sick. I didn't realize that. I thought my asthma was flaring, but that's when the flu struck. So I haven't been able to swatch any of them yet, so I can't wait. That's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So if you'd like to join us on Zoom, again, there is a free trial. You just go to Patreon. Link is in the description below. And you can just go to Patreon, click to do the free trial. And when I post the access to the Zoom tomorrow morning, usually about late morning, I post it. You'll be able to access that and come on over and join us. So yeah, Dolphin Soul says, excited to see everyone. Yeah, I can't wait. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love hanging out with everybody on Zoom. So yeah, I hope you'll join us if that's something that interests you, and you're going to get a first look now that I've shared with you all of those. If you're watching this live or on the replay, let me know which do you want to see first, because I'm going to cover these. Do you want to see the Holbein granulating, the new Holbein granulating colors? Would you like to see the new Daniel Smith colors? Or are you really interested with what I can do with the Steve Mitchell My Mary Blue set? I can't wait to swatch this because he does landscapes, and I've seen these colors when he shared them, and I was like really excited to get my hands on those. So let me know in the comments, what do you want to see first? And we will lean into that. And maybe we will do April's painting with one of the sets. We're going to be diving right into April because April's coming right up. So next week I am planning, when we're live, to paint April's calendar. What do you want to see on April? April showers bring May flowers, right? Is that what the saying goes? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we're going to do for April, but it's definitely, we're going to start adding some color in because April's the month where things start to come back to life around here. And I'm looking forward to it. That definitely it's not my favorite one so far. But I do like it. And I think I need to sign it. Let me grab a fine liner here. As I drop things everywhere. Trying to decide where I want to sign it. I don't want to take your eye away from our flowers. We'll just sign over here. My liner doesn't feel like it's working. Okay, so next week, April's calendar. Maybe I'll use one of the new sets. So definitely leave me a comment and let me know what set you want to see first that I shared with those. And maybe we'll use one of the new sets of watercolors. I can't wait. I cannot wait to try those. And they're all limited sets, so they would be great to use in a painting. I think with the exception of like the Daniel Smith one, although the new colors could. They could be. Just have to really think about that. But regardless, let me know. I'm going to do videos on each of those sets individually. Just swatching, highlighting the sets. But if you want a first look, join me on Zoom tomorrow because I'm going to show you all of them during our Zoom session. So there we go. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of March's painting? I don't know. It's not one of my favorites. It's still, I think like the trees are bothering me a bit. I think I wish I would have just brought the mountains down into and then turned it into grassy fields and maybe not done any trees there. Just like a couple trees here. If I had to do it all over again, that's probably what I would do. And not have the trees here. Just bring the mountains, turn it into the grassy field. I would still, of course, have my trees. Got to have my trees. But there's our snowdrops. You could even do some of these smaller, like out in here. You would just make it much, much smaller. I don't know. It is what it is. It's fine. I'm happy. I'm happy with it. It just felt so good to paint. It felt so good to come and hang out with all of you. Thanks for joining me. Check out our moderators' channels. They are listed in the description below, as are all of the supplies I used today. And until next time, my friends, keep creating, and I will see you next week when we will paint April's calendar page. Until then, have a great week. Bye, guys.